Hey y'all, Ritz here with another Watcher Realms video. I want to make an addendum to what we spoke about with the seeding. Um, it's an adjustment to what we're talking about with the seeding. I was speaking recently with my buddy Sept, who is a programmer for many, many years, and he was pointing out to me that the seeding, the best way to actually think about the seeding is, since it's all really just a set of numbers in the computer, it's the seeding for the damage, for instance, the way they set it. So in your gear raids, everybody knows that when it comes to DPS, your crit rates, the critting, the chances, the times that your what are they called? The artifacts proc, for instance, those are all preset at the beginning of a run. So let's just go into a run for a minute. You'll see Idril has Idril's Gaze. So there's a 25% chance that goes. Right now, the computer basically put in a series of numbers that tells us when is that going to proc. So when she starts going, since they're crit capped, we don't have to worry about that, but you'll see it pop up once in a while there. So how often does that proc? Well, that bucket has been kind of put into the game. And the game is saying, okay, give me the next number, give me the next number, give me the next number. Does it proc now? Does it proc now? And it's going to be the same every time. And it pulls the same numbers from that bucket every time. So if I just hit run again, it uses the same bucket with the same numbers, and it procs the same every time. He did point out to me, it's not the loading screen that does it. It's the loading screen is just changing over from basically the static screen of the static display where you have the camp and the gear raids and stuff. So there's the static display to the more interactive display, which is the battle mode. So to keep the seed that is there for those right there is challenge again or auto fights. Both of those will keep this same damage seed going for what we just went through. So the Idril's Gaze will proc exactly the same every single time if I just hit challenge again, for instance, and it runs. Now, that is changeable. We can change that process. That might be changeable, that is. We can change that process if we decide to take over the fight. So as you see down at the bottom, you can stop the fight. So if I stop this and I decide, you know what, I'm going to drop in, instead of Laurel right now, I'm going to drop in Hatsu. So that might actually change the way that this run works. It might actually change the RNG. It might change the numbers that we get. So I am not planning on running this all the way through, but you get the idea that if you take over the run, it might, since the game is constantly in contact with the server sends the numbers to the game, it might actually change the bucket we're using, the bucket being the seed that we're feeding the numbers from. Now, the great thing is it's not the Powerball. Those numbers are set, and it's a very nice thing that the developers did, that they set the numbers every time, because what it could do is we could get a different seed for every single run, even in a whole set of auto battles. Say I wanted to run 8 auto battles in the background. I could get a different seed every time because we're in constant contact with the server. The server could send us a new seed on the second run. So awesome. Thank you, Moonton, for thinking of this, that I want my runs to all work every time. I don't want it to end on after 3 because, I don't know, Idril's Gaze didn't proc and I didn't kill the mobs. 3 of them got through because, oh man, she didn't kill them off. That would be really bad for the game because people would stop playing it. It would be terrible. So that's what the seed really does. Now for drops. So according to my buddy, there's... from a programmer's perspective, there is no reason to put in a drop seed. Now, the way the random number generators work, apparently, is the way that actually, in general, random number generators work. They've taken the number of, like, milliseconds from January 1st, 1970. They can really set the date whenever they want, and the number of milliseconds generates a super high number that can then generate a series of events that will seem random, even though it's not actually random. Anyone who's watched Big Bang Theory, they might know that Sheldon over there likes to say that computers don't actually have real randomness, but okay, it seems random enough to us. It's so unpredictable because the number of different possibilities is so huge that for someone to actually try to manipulate it doesn't make sense. The amount of time and effort you would have to put in to try and get the right millisecond that you log into the game would be incredibly, incredibly crazy. Maybe someone could take, I don't know, however long it takes to program a computer to log in at the exact right moment. I don't think it's worth it. So the place that I was definitely wrong, and I appreciate, and I'm going to shout out a couple of buddies of mine in particular, Military Horn, he ran 1,000 runs and gave me the results. When it comes to AMR, there's not really there is a seed. It seems like there is a seed that you can get. If you reset the game is where the seed comes in. So when, Slate, you might like this one. Resetting the game actually does reset your seed for everything in the game. So that would be even summons. Is it worth it? You can't know what seed you get. So you reset your seed and maybe you get a good one, maybe you get a bad one. Who knows? It's kind of random. Is it worth it for you to do it? Maybe. However, we don't really know from one run to another run, even within one seed, is it going to do what we want it to do? Chances are, no, it's not. And when it comes to AMR in particular, there's very set numbers. Apparently within the game files, the percentages are 2, 3, 4. You have a 30% chance of those dropping. 5, 6, 7, you have a 40% chance. And 8, 9, 10, you have another 30%. So all in all, you get the 100%, and 5, 6, 7 being the 40%, you're going to get those more often than any of the others, just statistically, which means, and this is what the result was from the thousands of runs that people have sent me in the last few days, average is around 6. So some people are hitting up to 6.5. Some people are hitting 5.5 on 500 runs. Really, when you have a ton of runs you're running, you're going to get an average around 6. You can basically round to 6 because the numbers are generally small enough that it doesn't matter. It's like 6.1, 6.2 is the average on many people's. If you get a really good seed, which again, who knows when you do, you might get 7 on 500 runs. That's a really good seed. And 7 is within that average of 40. So that would be great. And I have seen many, many times when I do a short chunk of runs, I'll get an average of like 7, even 7.5 when I get a good one. You do reset the seed, it seems, when you, for the run. It's not clear if the seed for the drops is when you start the game or when you go in to the run, just like the DPS seed. We know for sure the DPS seed is when you start the run. You're communicating with the server says, here's your run, and that's how it goes. And they purposefully set it that way so that, okay, I know this run works, now I can set 1,000 runs and it'll go. Awesome. So, thanks, Moonton, for doing that. We appreciate it, because they didn't have to, and the seed could be redone every time. That being said, is it worth manipulating? Probably not. Probably not. Chances are on AMR, it's not actually worth manipulating. What I was sharing with you before was my experience. I did see patterns. I actually had, I was very excited on the day I was recording it, because I had just done a whole bunch of runs on my account and a buddy's account simultaneously, one on a computer, one on my phone, and I was getting an average of like 8, and it was awesome. And I was like, awesome, I found a good seed. This is so cool. I found, I may have found a pattern. And that's why I said in the video, I want to see if this is true. Send me the info. So thank you for Military Horn, for Sept, for Banshee, all of you for sending me information that you got and your results. It is true, Banshee, what you said in the comments, that if you start rolling dice, you're going to get a whole bunch of random numbers, is really what it is. And yes, statistically, your average will be 7. So if I say, oh, great, if I roll like this, then I'll get 7 more of the time. Well, guess what? Just statistically, you're going to get 7 more of the time. That's how it works. However, there are seeds in the game. You can find a seed where your gear raid, for instance, is going to get a good seed. You'll get more ancients. It's going to work. Where is that set? It could be set on the run starting. It could be set on the game starting. So you might have to reset your whole client in order to get a new seed. So is it worth it in the end? Up to you. Up to you. It is not guaranteed that if you're doing 1,000 runs, you're going to get X, Y, or Z number of ancients in your gear run. It might be that if you see that you get a bad seed, it's not a problem. It doesn't hurt anybody to reset your seed. That's fine. So I could say go for it. That's awesome. But in the end, I want my brand here on my channel to be based on an honest approach. I want mine to be based on information. I want to show you guys what I know for sure. I want to share with you guys the information I have that is correct and the truth of what's behind the game as much as possible. In general, I think Moontime, you got a good game. You got a good game. It's solid. I think I'm going to be putting out a few videos possibly today. We'll see how it goes. But I'm going to be doing one on heroes that need a buff. Check it out. I hope that this helps you guys. When it comes to seeding, AMR, if you're running a ton of runs, you're going to get an average of 6, most likely around 6. If you got 7, that's an awesome seed. You got a cool set of runs, but it's just as much possible for someone to get 7 as it is 6 because they're both 40%. When it comes to seeding also, though, you have to understand if there is a good seed, there's also a bad seed. So your chances of getting nothing if you end up with a bad seed are higher, it seems. And like I said in the previous video, nothing is guaranteed. It's all RNG, random number generation. It's as randomized as computers can get it. And that really covers Moonton's options. They can just say, look, it's all random. You got what you got. We don't have any control over it. And they're telling the truth for the most part. They can raise or lower the rates. That's cool. They could say like, oh, we want 6 to be 50%, and we're going to lower the other ones. We're going to say 5 is going to be 35% and 7 is going to be 35%. And you get a little bit more of like a bell curve for percentages in that case. Bell curve is really more for results, but whatever. The concept is there. You see a little bit more of that shape. Anyway, I don't know why my video keeps doing that. I guess there's enough background lighting. Yeah, so that I think actually covers seeding. There are seeds for sure, it seems, in the game. Whether or not it's worth it to look for the seed is up to you. Your chances of getting a good seed and a bad seed are just as good between the two, and your ability to control it may or may not be as easy as presented in many videos. So resetting your seed, if you're on a bad run, why not? Doesn't hurt anyone, doesn't do anything bad. But there are definitely seeds in the game on reset. If you reset the game itself, you close out the client, you start everything over, there's definitely a seed that comes in. Whether you get a good seed, a bad seed, who knows? Summoning seeds may be a thing. It might be true. Again, like Fastidious and Slate said, it's a bit tinfoil hat to talk about a summoning seed. We don't know it for sure. We don't have that much information on it, and it's very hard to prove. When it comes to the gearing seed, we definitely see that there does seem to be a gearing seed out there where you get more ancients on certain runs. Can we control it or not? Really, ultimately, don't know. Is it worth it to try? That's up to you. It does take some effort to really control it. But within that, I have seen people get a lot of good results when they try to control the gear seed. So maybe it's there, maybe it's not. AMR, I would say forget about it. If you're running a ton of runs, you're going to get an average of 6 pretty much. So you can expect that average of 6. Really, AMR, you don't run it for, what's it called? The mithril. That's right. Well, you don't really run it for the mithril. When it comes to let's move me over here. I have a very nice body today. So when it comes to your artifacts and upgrading, you're not running it for the mithril, you're running it for the forge. You get 400 or so, you run a 10 pull, and then you sell off the bad ones or the ones that you're not upgrading, whatever, for the mithril. So for instance, now I have a fully upgraded Spellcaster's Echo. I don't need more than one. Anytime I get more than that, more of these, I'm selling them off. I'm getting 45 mithril for that. Again, for the North's Glory, I don't think I need more than one. I like having it. I locked it up, so I keep it. Anytime I get more of them, I'm getting 45 mithril. I'm going to finish this one up when I have a chance because it's nice to get that extra 15% HP. But again, I'm selling off all the leftovers after that for the mithril. So don't think you're going to be getting a ton of mithril from it. For the meteorites, can you control it? Can you not? Maybe there's a little bit of control you can get over it. But in the end, it's up to you if you want to really try to do it. So, and again, all of this is just the information I have. I want to present to you the truth as I have it. And that is the truth as I have it. That's the way it works. So, thank you, Sept, for the time, for giving me that time and talking me through it. Having someone with, I think he said he's been actively programming for 15 years or something like that. And then if you include what he did from home, it's like another 18 on top of that. It's amazing. And it's really cool to have you in my corner. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. I also appreciate Military Horn for sending me that information and Banshee for taking the time as well. And everybody who's spoken about it. If you want to talk about seeding, I think this ultimately is kind of the information as we have it. If I can, I would love to make like a little layout for the chances, but the game files tell us that when it comes to the meteorites in AMR, you have 30% chance to get 2, 3, 4 or 8, 9, 10. And 40% chance to get 5, 6, 7. So that's what they've got in the game files, and it seems to be that those just roll on average a 6, which is right in the center, every time. So that's what you got. That's what I got for you today. This is the follow-up to seeding that I wouldn't say I was wrong. I definitely found some good seeds, but to control it, that's where maybe I was a little bit off. So you can quote me however you want. Just don't call me late for dinner. And like, comment, subscribe. See you in the next one.